The cottage wakes before I do. The lake makes a soft clicking sound against the dock-like knuckles on wooden. The kettle takes longer to boil here than it does in the city. I like that it keeps me from rushing into the day, pretending needed somewhere else. Was fixing a loose hinge on the screen door when my son called. He didn't ask how long I'd be staying this time. He didn't ask if the weather had finally broken. He went straight to the point, the way he does when has already decided something. Need the cottage as collateral, he said, just temporarily. Said just the way people do when they're trying to make a thing smaller than it is. Told him to slow down. Wiped my hands on my jeans and sat on the steps. The boards were warm already. He explained that rates were changing, that his partner was nervous that this opportunity wouldn't come again. Talked in a smooth, continuous line like a presentation had practiced in the car. Noticed he never used the word loan. Never said risk. Asked him why the cottage. It's paid off, he said, and honestly you don't really use it year-round. There it was, the quiet conversion of my life into available square footage. I said I needed time to think. Agreed too quickly. 2 days later he arrived with a realtor. Knew the moment I saw the woman step out of the SUV with her folder tucked to her chest that this wasn't a visit, it was an assumption with legs. The realtor smiled at me the way people smile at an elderly relative whose approval is ceremonial, not required. They walked the property while I stayed near the porch. I listened to unfamiliar language applied to familiar places. Potential renovation, upside, comparable waterfront. My son gestured toward the back of the lot where the birches thin out. He talked about clearing them. Interrupt that seemed important, not out of strategy. Out of exhaustion. I've learned that stopping someone mid-assumption rarely teaches them anything. They need to reach the end of their sentence and hear it echo. Inside realtor asked when the property had last been appraised. She asked about easements. She didn't ask how long my parents had owned it or why my father carved his initials into the beam above the fireplace instead of the doorframe like a normal person. My son watched me closely, waiting for either consent or drama. I gave him neither. "I'll need a few minutes," I said. "There's a call I should make." Outside of the lake had gone still. I dialed the estate attorney's number from memory. He answered on the second ring. "Yes," said after I explained that clause is very clear. He spoke to the realtor directly. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't apologize. The property is held in an irrevocable trust. Said it cannot be pledged, listed, leveraged, or altered without unanimous trustee approval, which will not be granted. There was a pause. I could hear through the phone paper shifting, the professional recalibration of expectations. "I'll email you the documentation," he added, "for your records." When I went back inside, the realtor was already packing up. Her smile had softened into neutrality. She nodded at me more respectfully this time. "I wasn't aware," she said. "Thank you for clarifying." She left without another word. My son stood in the kitchen, hands in his pockets. The house felt suddenly smaller, like it does after an argument, even when no one has raised their voice. "You never told me," he said. I looked at him, at the familiar slope of his shoulders when something doesn't go the way he planned. "You never asked." I said. It wasn't sharp, it wasn't gentle, it was accurate. He wanted to say more. I could see it assembling behind his eyes. Justifications, appeals, maybe even an apology shaped like a favor. I didn't help him. Eventually he nodded. "Okay," he said. "I should get going." Watched him drive away from the porch. The SUV kicked up a little gravel where the driveway meets the road. He didn't wave. Evening. I fixed the hinge, and finished my "To the cottage," felt the same. That was the point. Latter alone I let myself feel the weight of it, not victory, not triumph, just the quiet consequence of having prepared for a moment I hoped would never come. Create the trust. Because I didn't trust my son created it, because I'd already learned how easily love gets confused with access. Tomorrow I'll repaint the trim near the windows. Next week I might replace the dock boards. The work here is slow and specific. It doesn't ask me to be useful to anyone but myself. The lake darkens as the sun goes down. I lock the door, not out of fear but out of habit. Sit for a while longer listening to the water do what it's always done, whether anyone needed it or not.